Hello, listeners. This is friend of the show, Aaron here. I just want to let you know we have a classic bad news, good news, bad news situation. The bad news is the technical difficulties goblin has struck us once again. But the good news is we have a backup recording this time. The other bad news is it sounds like we're talking on our phones, because we are. But it's a very interesting episode anyway. I don't think it sounds too bad, so I think you'll enjoy. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Love you.
Welcome to Music She Missed, the podcast where I try to get my best friend caught up with some of the most popular songs and artists that impact our lives. I'm Allison.
Hi, I'm Rachel and I missed all the music.
Rachel, we're here for another episode.
Hi, yay!
Hi, I am so excited to ask you this week's, tangentially related get to know you question.
Though you've known me for 12, 13, 17, 25 years.
Well, so my question is, I know you used to live in Europe, and I wanted to know if you had ever been to Munich.
No.
Oh, no! I was hoping you would say yes and have a cool story to share.
I know. Honestly, Munich and Berlin were two German cities that I really, 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 really wanted to put on my list. And it just never happened because, But I do have actually from an actual piece of the Berlin Wall. So that's is cool.
I got to see a piece of it when I went to the now closed museum in Washington, D.C.
Well, it's closed for a reason, to keep everyone healthy and safe.
No, it's closed because it closed before the whole pandemic.
Never mind. I take that.
I was really sad because it was such a cool museum.
That is cool. I've seen a big portion of the rock, the part of the wall. I only have a little portion because I'm not allowed to have the whole portion. Because honestly, I don't know where I'd put it in my house.
Where would you put the Berlin Wall if you could fit it in your house?
Munich, though. Munich. Are we talking about balloons?
We are not talking about balloons.
Because there's a German song about balloons.
There is 99 Luftballons. But that is not what we are talking about today. Although this week's band is from Munich.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
I know. That's why I was so excited. And then to hear you hadn't been there, I was like, oh, well.
Rachel just ruined it.
Okay. You didn't ruin it. It just makes it a shorter conversation. More time for talking about the band later.
Okay, so we're going to do the band reveal?
Yeah, we'll do like a little pseudo drum roll. Millie Vanilli.
Oh my goodness. Is all of season 5 something I don't know?
All of this show is something you don't know.
No, but I don't know this at all. I've never heard the word.
You've never heard the word Millie Vanilli?
I've never heard.
Oh, that's so
last
awesome.
Week,
Oh my God,
all
really?
Of season 5 so far is something I've never ever heard in my entire life.
That's amazing. Okay. Well, I will just read you a couple of their songs, but just to check. But considering you have never, ever heard those words before, I have a feeling that it's not going to matter. Nope. Okay. Just shout if you've heard of any of these songs. I mean, I find that impossible, but All or Nothing.
That's pass.
Okay. There's no reason to do this. Girl, I'm gonna miss you.
I'll miss you too, Allison. Nope, pass.
Girl, you know it's true. You don't know any of these.
It is so true.
Okay. Well, that's super exciting. So on a scale of 1 to 10, There is no zero. Where would you rate your current knowledge of mega pop stars Milli
She's
Vanilli?
mega? Wait.
All right, so would that be a 1?
Yes, it'd be a 1. Is it a she or is it a band?
So here's the thing. I am not going to tell you anything else about this artist. I'm going to give you the playlist on Spotify, let you listen to it, and I'm going to let our special guest host tell you all about
Who's
it
that?
when he comes. It's my friend Vaughn.
Oh, that's so cool. I've heard so much about Vaughn, and plus I've met him a few times.
He is so excited. When I asked him to do this show, this was the group at the top of his list.
That's so cool. I can't believe I've never heard of them.
Well, you're about to learn a lot. So you can listen to the playlist by going to Spotify, user, music she missed. Listen every day for an hour.
And then I'm going to come back, tell you all about what I've learned, ask questions, give you comments, tell you about my faves and unfaves, and then give my final rating. Did I like them from 1 to 10?
Exactly. So, audience, we'll be back with you in just a moment. Rachel will be back here with Vaughn.
Here we go.
Welcome back. Rachel, you spent the last week listening to the super famous band, Milli Vanilli. How'd it go?
I did. It went good. It was very different than what I was expecting.
Okay, well, before you elaborate more on that, I would like to take a minute to introduce our awesome guest host for the week, my friend Vaughn.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hi, Vaughn. Thanks so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
I really appreciate it. You know, Rachel, I approached Vaughn, I don't know, a year ago.
That sounds about right.
Wow.
About being on the show. And in the end, he had a bunch of ideas. And in the end, this was the one he really wanted to do. And so I was nervous about it, but now I'm really excited about it.
Well, I'm excited too. I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to meet you, Rachel.
Thank you, Vaughn. I'm so glad that you made the playlist and you're here tonight and you're chatting with us.
To answer all of her questions.
Every single last one.
Yes.
So Rachel, you had a good week. You said it was good. It was different. Yes. What are your initial thoughts?
So a lot of it was I didn't understand what I was listening to at first. I really was expecting something different.
What were you expecting?
Yeah, what were you expecting?
Honestly, I was thinking of something more pop-ish and a little bit less, I don't know, rap. And I don't know. Was it techno? I don't know what they were doing.
Are you asking what the genre of this is?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what I was doing and what I was listening to.
Vaughn, how would you describe Milli Vanilli?
So Milli Vanilli's genre would classify as R&B.
Oh.
But at the time, a lot of music was coming out, so I think they tried to dabble in a little bit of everything. Kind of, I think that for me, the album tried to have a little bit of everything from that genre. So, but they are classified as R&B.
R&B. Have we done anything else other than that's R&B?
Yeah, it's such a broad category. I mean, Alicia Keys fits in that category, right? There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the album has kind of that more ballad kind of love song, but it's got some dance hits, and it's got, to me, what seemed a little bit of kind of throwbacks.
Yeah. So like R&B and hip hop, they're kind of synonymous. Some of them flow back and forth. So you might have an R&B album, but has some hip hop elements like rap, and they'll rap in it. And you'll also have some rap albums that'll have some R&B with some ballads. So they kind of intermingle. They're like close cousins.
Close cousins. I like cousins. Cousins are cool.
Cousins are cool.
Okay.
They're like siblings you don't have to live with.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Rachel. What else kind of popped up? Because I think it's funny that you were like, I'm not sure what to think because I didn't know what it was, instead of just listening to it.
Well, I listen to it, but usually by at least the first day, I'm able to say, oh, okay, so this is Johnny Cash and this is country. But I was like, what is this?
Okay.
I didn't even know if I was listening to 80s, 90s, current. It was something that I was just quite confused by.
Yeah.
So
That's Milli Vanilli.
you're hitting it on the head in terms of the years.
Oh, cool. I was right for once.
Well, that's a good time to jump into a little bit of the history.
So Milli Vanilli is actually it's a group of two men, Rob and Fab. They're from Germany, France, from Munich. They're from Munich. So this is I guess this would be an overseas band that has come across the pond and made a name for themselves.
Really?
They originated in 1988 is when they formed, and they kind of from 88 through the early 90s is when they put up the majority of their music. So like their genre is it's R&B, some might call it funk, dance. I guess they were trying to cover the genre, cover the gamut of. I guess they figured since they were coming here to the U.S., have as many fans as they possibly can. Hence the music list that you heard, which had a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah.
So with them being international, did they initially sing these songs in German? French?
I don't think so. I know they have French versions, but I know some of the songs that they originally sang, they did remake, but I don't think all of them were bilingual.
That's kind of cool.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your other questions that you had, Rachel, kind of just out of the gate?
So another question that I had was, so they're two guys, Milli Vanilli. Where did they come up with that name?
I don't exactly know where they came up with the name, but they also did some modeling. So I don't know if that was like their stage names, and when they decided to make this group, they went with the name Milli Vanilli. I don't know if you've seen any pictures of them, but just to kind of give you an idea of what they look like, they're two African-American guys, really good looking, thin, fit, cut. Back then they wore like braids or like long, I don't want to call them dreads because they weren't dreadlocks, but they were really long, elaborate braids, like tightly woven braids. And they wore like oversized shoulder pads, suits with neon colors, and they wore like biker shorts with that, and like Doc Martin boots, and sometimes hats. They were very kind of
Trendy?
out there, and very trendy, very showy.
You can see a picture of them, Rachel, on the cover of the album on the playlist.
Yeah, on Spotify.
Very good looking people.
Yes, they are, and just they look very cool.
I have a picture that I can show you. Unfortunately, people that are not with us can't see it, but I can show you a picture if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, we can post it. We can post it on our Facebook page for people to check out later too.
So here's a picture of them.
You're standing with them.
Hey guys.
You're so cool, bud.
Okay, which one is Rob?
Yeah, which one's Rob? The one with the bandana?
Yes, I believe so.
All right.
So
Fab's got my vote. I'm just saying.
So their names are Milli Vanilli is the name of the band, but their names are Rob and Fab, and they're abbreviated. So it's Rob Philotus. I can't really pronounce it because I don't speak German. And Fabrice Morvan are their actual names. And Milli Vanilli is just the group's name. I don't think any one of them went as Milli or Vanilli. So kind of like Hootie and the Blowfish, where his name is not Hootie.
That's another band that Rachel, look at her face. That's another. She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
So Milli Vanilli, there are two of them, but they're together. They're called Milli Vanilli. One is not Milli and the other is Vanilli. their names are Robbie
Oh,
Fab.
so they didn't like separate, and it's now like Justin Timberlake, not in sync, and
No.
it just pulled out an album up just called Millie.
Yeah, so their group name together is Millie Vanilli.
And they always have to be together. Have they always been together? And has it always been them?
They've only been the only two in Millie Vanilli, yes.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rachel, I was wondering, so I kind of want to move forward because they were huge stars. Why Rachel's making another confused face. They're huge stars.
Well, then how did I miss them?
You miss everything. Vaughn, could you maybe elaborate a little bit on their fame, their popularity, this album, like, you know, what kind of accolades and stuff it received?
So they rose to fame pretty quick. I mean, as soon as they came across the pond and re-released their album, they were a hit. I mean, I think within the first year they won like New Artist of the Year. They won a Grammy, all within like the first 2 years of their album release. So they were to the point that there were being parodies about them on SNL. There were parodies about them on In Living Color.
I watched that today.
everyone kind of mocked them and everyone made fun of them. The reason why I love them, and I thought this was a great one for you to have in the show, is when I was in high school, I had a Milli Vanilli cassette tape.
You were so cool.
I was on the basketball team and I was on the football team, and my teammates gave me so much guff for liking Milli Vanilli because because they're kind of flamboyant, they're kind of out there, I guess they would fall in the category of being softer men. And of course, high school kids, they're just mean all around, but I didn't really care. But what I thought was really awesome is after basketball practice, I would drive like 3 or 4 of my friends home because I had a car. And I don't know which one, but one of them stole my Milli Vanilli tape out of my car.
Oh no.
So,
out of jealousy or out of spite?
No, I think it was out of jealousy because whenever I played it, they were like down low, like, oh, this is pretty good. Like, I like this. So I think they didn't want to buy it, so they kind of low-key stole it. So I ended up buying 2 Milli Vanilli tapes in my lifetime. So whoever took it, I hope they really enjoyed it. But, yeah. So that's kind of why I had this love for Milli Vanilli, that I think they were so good that someone actually wanted to steal it from me.
That's an awesome story. And we're going to find that person for you, Vaughn.
Yes. Vengeance will be mine.
And we will get that cassette tape for you.
I've got Spotify now. I'm good.
Yeah, you can listen to it anytime.
Exactly.
Speaking of Spotify, Rachel, you listened to this playlist. I'm sure some questions popped up for you about some of the songs. I think the first 2 songs on the list, Girl, You Know It's True and All or Nothing, I think, were those some of the biggest hits from that?
Their biggest hit would probably be Blame It on the Rain.
Okay.
Yeah, Blame It on the Rain.
I like that one.
Yeah, that was a very good one.
It had some fun lyrics where I think one of the things that I really like about Rob and Fab. So, quick question though. Mm-hmm. Did they write their own music, or was there someone else behind the curtain?
No, they didn't write the songs. Most of their songs were written by a producer or their team. So they didn't really. They wanted more creative to write more of their music, but their team kind of held their hand and did most of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of shocked by that. They seem like, at least, I don't know, from the one cover that I looked at, because I really do try over the week not to research, not to ask people about it, because I really want to share my very just truthful, what I've learned this past week. And they seem like guys that just have a lot of things to say, and what they said, I like their lyrics, especially on the song Blame It on the Rain. I thought they were very fun, entertaining kind of guys.
So I would say, I don't know which bands you know or you don't know, but try to shift your mindset to more of a boy band fabricated group, right? Like kind of like your Spice Girls.
We did like a Justin Timberlake in sync kind of episode.
Yeah.
Way back.
Yeah. So kind of where they didn't write all their music, but they had a huge team helping them.
Gotcha.
Right. Creating a really polished product.
Yeah.
And this album, at least platinum. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but and also Grammy award winning. So popular, internationally and recognized and high sales and well received.
Yeah, they were all over MTV, all over VH1. They were big.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. So, were there songs used in TV shows and movies?
No, there were no songs that were specifically for TV shows and movies, but kind of as I mentioned, and this was right around the time MTV was huge, where MTV was actually still only playing music videos.
Mm-hmm.
So now MTV plays everything under the sun from reality shows, but when they came out, MTV was mainly videos. You started getting some of like the MTV news kind of stuff, so they had a lot of music videos out. So that was probably the most you would see them on television or the screen or the big screen.
Before we go on, Rachel, I would like to hear some of your questions about some of the songs on the album and some of your feedback about some of the songs in particular that you enjoyed or didn't enjoy.
Cool.
And I will do my best to answer those.
So when I was listening to the playlist that you made, which thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
The instrument in All or Nothing, is
Yes.
that a xylophone?
That is not a xylophone. I believe that's actually a synthesizer. It's a keyboard.
Huh. I did hear that throughout other songs as well.
Yeah, most of it was synthesized back then. That type of synthesization, if that's a word, was utilized a lot in 90s music because it was just the sound at that moment.
Right.
At that era.
Did they play that?
They did not.
Huh. Okay, so they had a band and everything.
Band/production company. The music producers.
Gotcha. So in one of their songs, they say some names, which now I've learned that it's not them. George Michael and Marvin Gaye.
Did you think George Michael and Marvin Gaye were Milli Vanilli?
Well, I didn't know.
Well, there's two
Where
episodes.
George Michael, isn't George Michael? No, that's George Lucas. That's Star Wars, right?
That is correct.
George Lucas is Star Wars. George
And Marvin
Michael.
Gaye.
All right, George Michael, Rachel, I know you will know this because George
Yeah.
Michael sang Last Christmas.
And he's in the band. He's in Wham.
Yeah, but she doesn't know that. But she knows.
Sorry.
But she knows Last Christmas.
Last Christmas.
Right. That's
I
George Michael.
gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away.
All right, so that's that.
That's a sad guy.
So he's a musical artist on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, who's Marvin Gaye then?
Okay. Marvin Gaye. Who's Marvin Gaye?
Another
So
giant
how do you
name.
pronounce his last name?
Gay.
Oh, so it's not like Gabe. I gave you $1.
No, it's gay, like the sexual orientation.
But with an
gotcha.
E, so more like the woman's
Correct.
name.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So Marvin Gaye is he was really huge in Motown in the 70s, and he's also a singer.
He sang
Okay.
the song "Let's Get It On," which you've probably seen in a movie.
Yes.
Okay.
So he sings that song. So I'm not sure why they refer to those two people because they're not even in the same genre of music. But what I would assume is that they're just giving props to those two artists because they appreciate their style of music.
Oh.
That would be my.
That or they're bragging that they know who they are and I don't know who they are.
I don't know if that's a brag.
I kind
I
of
won't
took
lie.
it.
If I knew all these artists, I'd be like, hey, I know who Millie Vanilli is. I'm cool.
I kind
think
of took
George
it to
Michael's
mean
a-
like, no matter whether you're listening to Marvin Gaye or George Michael, like, I'm gonna be with you, girl. Like that was like the attitude I was getting. It's like it doesn't matter what's playing in the background. That was my interpretation of those lyrics, but
Allie, so risque.
I was just reading the lyrics.
She is very in tune.
This is a family-friendly podcast.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So why did I listen to this song All or Nothing twice?
well,
They sounded the same.
they sounded similar. So one was released, their original release was in the UK, and then when they came to the US, they re-released it again.
Oh, so UK versus US.
Yeah, so they're basically saying, hey, we released this and it was big there. Let's do it again in the US, but let's give it more of an upbeat, kind of cool, kind of, more club remix kind of release.
If you
Yeah.
listen to that US version, Rachel, it's definitely got like a what kind of like there's like a little like guy kind of making an enthusiastic sound every how many ever beats. That makes it like to me it sounds clubbier.
Yeah, it's more clubby, so you could dance to it. I really wish I would have listened to this playlist again before the interview, but yeah.
You're okay. I took those questions and I was like, I'm going to listen to these back to back and figure out what's happening.
Well, I did listen to them back to back, and I couldn't figure it out. So, but now that I can understand that they're international and that their aim was for America, were they as popular in other countries as America?
I want to say yes, because they were international.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if they were famous in Asia, but I do know in Germany and UK they were.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So,
what were some of your favorite songs from the playlist, Rachel?
I really like Can't You Feel My Love. I like the song because it sounds a lot like there's teamwork where Millie Vanilli is just going back and forth. Rob and Fab are just going back and forth, and they're just harmonizing. They're really wanting to get their message across, and there's teamwork in it. I thought that was really cool, and there was talent when it came back to volley being back and forth. I felt like I was at a very good game of Wimbledon, and it's back and forth of tennis.
That's so funny. Okay. Any other faves?
Another one is it's your thing.
It's
So I
your
know one of
thing.
the, I don't know, some slogan or whatever things saying. It's you do you. I feel like this is an old-fashioned version of saying you do you. It's your thing. It's your thing.
That song's a cover,
Oh.
right? It's a cover of the Isley Brothers, It's Our Thing from 1969, which is why I know that, because I'm much more into the, like, 60s, 70s time period. And so I heard that, and I was like, oh, what an interesting cover of this. But a lot of times, if you hear the cover first, it kind of, like, warps you. It's a famous song, regardless.
Very cool.
And
That's for another show.
Yeah, right? Only 1,000 more episodes to go.
I also like Take It As It Comes. I like how they delivered this lyrics of this song, how they sang it. I feel like, so I have a friend who can sing to every single type of music. She knows who she is. And she tends to sing and dance and closes her eyes as she sings and dances.
She's feeling it.
She's feeling it. Like, she is in the groove. She's got it. And this is one of those songs that all I can think is, my friend would like this song. This is totally her. If I was making her a mixtape, this would be on it.
And then Vaughn would steal it.
That's right. I'd go into your 1978 Toyota Celica and steal it.
The cassette tape. So we had to use pencils to rewind and fix.
Yes.
Awesome. And is there any songs, Rachel, that you just were like, nah, I didn't care. I don't like this one.
Oh, baby, don't forget my number.
Why?
I did not like that song. No. It was just, there's got some echoing going on. And I was like, it's not the Wimbledon tennis echoing back and forth. Teamwork, there's just like that sound, and I didn't like it. And heck, you know what? Now we don't memorize anyone's phone numbers. We got them all on speed dial on a favorite list on our iPhones. Come on.
Yeah, but you got to remember back then everything was I mean, phone booths. I mean, that was even before, like, really before, like, pages were just starting to become a thing in two-way.
Oh,
So,
man.
you know,
Pages.
baby, don't forget my number. I mean,
That's
if you didn't have a
serious.
piece of paper, and you were trying to, you know, get a girl's phone number, don't forget it. You know, please don't forget my number, because that's it. It's done. The woman of your dreams could disappear.
It's true.
It's 2020. We've got iPhones
Yeah.
and we have paperless.
Okay, I don't think that you can judge this album by 2020 standards. I don't think
Yeah,
that
that's
that's
like 30
fair.
years ago.
That's not fair to
It's
1988.
2020.
That's 30 plus years ago.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
we can't rewind time, because if we could, then Rachel wouldn't have missed all the music. And that's
So
what-
Baby Don't Forget My Number was actually probably one of their bigger hits too. It was very clubby, very poppy, and I particularly remember the music video for that song. So if you have an opportunity to see that one, it's interesting because they're both trying to talk to the same girl and telling her to not forget their number, which is kind of weird and kind of harassing in today's climate. But for 88, I guess it was what it was.
what it was.
So
Well, that's kind of interesting that I didn't like the most popular song that they had. So
I wouldn't say it was the most popular. It was probably one of the popular ones.
well,
Gotcha.
so the thing is that this album was popular in its entirety. Girl, You Know It's True was 6 times platinum. So, you know, millions upon millions of records sold, a #1 album. So, with an album that popular, a lot of these songs are going to make it into the, you know,
top charts.
yeah,
Just
and into the
because.
cultural kind of knowledge. So that's actually a good time to segue back into history. That was a little, what is that called when you
Detour?
detour? Yep. When you drive around a thing and then come back to your original route, that's called a detour.
it's boomerang.
It is called a detour.
All right. So, Rachel, I know you have more questions, and I know that Vaughn has more history to share with you.
I will share as much as I possibly can.
Okay.
So, one of the things that I noticed with the Spotify playlist that you created is that each of the album covers were the same.
Yeah.
But you're saying that this song went platinum, this song went blah 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 blah. blah. But I'm only seeing one album cover.
That is true.
Did they only do one album?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. It's time for you to hear the Milli Vanilli story.
Wait. Why did they only do one, but they went so big?
That's what Vaughn's going to explain to you now.
So that's kind of the Milli Vanilli story. So Milli Vanilli, as I mentioned before, they were models. And there was a music producer. What was his name? What was his name? Frank Franin.
Franin. That's it.
Yeah. So Frank Franin was a music producer, and he was looking to develop a band with a kind of like, you know, make a boy band. And he found these two guys, Rob and Fab, who were gorgeous. They had the look. He brought them into the music studio to make a band, to make a group out of them early on. So they started writing music. They started singing music, but the producer felt that their sound wasn't as polished as it could be. So in doing so, you know, they produced it and over-synthesized their voices and kind of helped their vocals along. In doing so, getting some backup singers to help support them. So you hear backup singers. Inevitably, what happened is the backup singers sounded better than Rob and Fab did. So
Really?
So they decided to make the recordings with the backup singers, and Rob and Fab would front the face.
So wait a second. They lip synced?
Yes.
Yes.
That's not okay. So I know nothing about music, but I do know that's not a good thing.
Yeah. So.
Whoa! How did they get away with it?
So what happened is the producer said, all right, so Rob and Fab really wanted to sing. They really wanted careers as singers. And so they went on board with this. Like, sure, well, so the thought was, get these songs out, we'll get them produced, we'll get you guys rolling, and then eventually we'll go back into studio and we'll re-record them with your voice, and we'll give you an opportunity to give more of your voice to it. By the time they started rolling, they became so popular so fast, there was no way of turning back. So they ended up going on with the live for almost 2 years of pretending to sing the songs that they weren't really singing.
So wait a second. This past week, I have been listening to not Milli Vanilli, but Millie Vanilli.
You have been listening to Millie Vanilli, but you were not listening to Robin Fab.
Wait a second. I feel violated. I don't know what my emotions are. I don't understand.
So Rachel,
wait a second.
Rachel, the way
who are these people?
So Rachel, the way you are feeling right now is how the entire world felt that bought millions and millions of their records.
And they went platinum, but it wasn't really them.
Not only that, they received a Grammy, and in the end, they ended up having to give it back.
So let me get this straight. This is like the Friends episode of when Phoebe is singing the song Smelly Cat, and it's not really her singing it.
Yes!
That's where the concept of that episode probably came from.
Oh my goodness. So Milli Vanilli is Smelly Cat.
Or Smelly Cat is Millie Vanilli, but yes. Because Millie Vanilli came first, but yes.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so this is why, Rachel...
I don't know how to process this.
That's why I was so... When I realized you'd never even heard their name before, that's why I was so neurotic about making sure that nobody talked to you about Millie Vanilli.
No.
Like, I texted your husband, and I was like, don't ruin this. Like, I needed to protect the secret for one more week that everyone else has known for 30 years.
The only thing my husband ever said, like, I told him at the beginning of the week, hey, I'm doing Millie Vanilli. He's like, this will be a fun episode for you. And that's all he said. I know who you're talking about, and this is going to be a fun episode. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm listening to this music, and I feel like I'm going back to the 80s or 90s and something that my older brother would listen to.
Yeah.
So okay, and I'm like, what's okay.
So here's the thing. So they were so popular, they went on every single talk show, every single TV show you could think of. Every late night, every daytime show, every SNL, and they were on literally everything, everywhere. They were so oversaturated, they were everywhere. So back then on TV, it was acceptable to lip sync some of your songs just for production, because, you know, singing live on TV doesn't really transfer as well as the pre-recorded as the albums. So they would just lip sync all their concerts and lip sync all their appearances on TV. Well, one time, and I was they were on MTV, and they were performing for like a live audience. I think it was like a TRL with Carson Daly. I don't remember who it was, or was it Downtown Julie Brown? One of their anchors, and they were singing one of their songs. I think it was "Girl, You Know It's True," if I'm not mistaken, and the hard drive started to skip, and it kept repeating, "Girl, you know it's, girl, you know it's, girl, you know it's, girl, you," and it kept repeating and skipping and skipping. So they freaked out on live TV and ran off stage.
Yeah, because they were uncool and lip syncing, and they didn't know what to do.
So, but here's the thing: when you lip sync on TV, even if you're a performer, most artists don't really care because they originally sang it in the studio. So they're like, "Yeah, I'm singing to myself. It's not a big deal." But for them, it was a huge deal because they knew they weren't singing to themselves. So for any other artist, if that would have happened, they would have been like, well, whatever's whatever. It's still my voice. I don't care. I was lip syncing to me. That's okay. But they knew they were lip syncing to not them. And speculation started to arise that they were lip syncing by some of their interviews because their songs are very articulate and very clear with their words. But when you interview them, they had very, very thick accents, and their pronunciation of words weren't in line with what they were singing. So speculation started to arise prior to the MTV debacle, but once that happened, it solidified their doom.
Yeah.
Oh, their voices in the interviews didn't match their voices into the music.
Yeah.
Ouch. So where did they go? Like, did they just fade off into the distance in shame?
This is the sad part of the story.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
no.
I
so
know.
they
No. Let me brace myself.
so they received, of course, a lot of backlash. The sad part about it is that Rob and Fab received the brunt of it, even though they were the puppets in this whole orchestra.
Yeah,
Right.
so the producer guy should be more.
The producer should be the one, but he wasn't the face of the group, so Millie Vanilli got backlash. So once it came out, Rob and Fab broke from that group, and they're like, well, we can sing, we can perform. We always wanted to sing, we always wanted to write, but we weren't allowed to. But we can. So their fans said, all right, guys, you said you could sing, you said you guys can do it, so go ahead and
do your thing.
Write music, go ahead and do it. So they did, to a huge disaster. No one liked it. I would recommend after we're done to go look up Rob and Fab and listen to their album, and you can hear that it's totally different. It's not. Is
it called Robbie and Fabby?
I think if you look up Rob and Fab, you might find it.
Rob and Fab. I'm writing that down.
So they actually their big debut as Rob and Fab was on Arsenio Hall, where they did this. They sang their song. They actually came out on stage. I think they were naked, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a very lackluster performance. The lyrics weren't great. The vocals were horrible. And they did this on national TV, and they just got eaten up. Like, they were like, that's horrible. It's like, and that was the end of Rob and Fab, the end of Milli Vanilli.
Were they hit by tomatoes?
No, one of them went on to try to produce and write music on his own, and unfortunately, one of them, which one was it? Was it Rob or Fab? OD'd on and passed, just dealing with the stress. He went into a life of crime. He started robbing houses and then started taking drugs and just kind of. I think he's
choices, bad choices.
Yeah, it's just.
His mama wasn't happy.
I guess the stress of the rejection and the embarrassment and the ridicule, that was like his release, and yeah.
That's sad. That I feel like the public, but also the producers, should be responsible for some of that.
Yeah. So
that's sad.
So that's why there's only one album.
Yeah.
So how long did that turn? Like, so they were a very big hit one year. The minute they got into the U.S., that 1 year was like their year, and then less than a year later.
So about 92, they were done.
Oh.
So they came on the scene in '88. Rose those 2 years, came across in the '90s, and then by '92 they were done.
Wow. That's disappointing.
I was hoping, Vaughn, you could talk about the real Milli Vanilli and the guys who were their voices and what they did.
So I don't really know a lot about them, but the real Milli Vanilli, they were also, they felt that they were duped as well too, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, here are these two guys, Rob and Fab, they're getting all these millions of dollars for songs that we sang. Nobody knows we sang them. Our faces weren't ever shown. We should be.
Were they ugly?
They weren't ugly, but they weren't models. So they were also on the raw end of this deal because they, think about it. If it's your talent that's winning all these Grammys, you're thinking, well, I'm a great artist. I mean, I won a Grammy. I'm the bee's knees. People want to hear me. And then to be saying, well, actually, no, you can't say anything. You're just a footnote on this album. These guys are the ones that are getting the credit. So when it all came out, they decided to do their own. I haven't really heard any of their other not Milli Vanilli stuff. I didn't seek it out, but now I think I'm going to check out just to see what it might sound like.
I bet it's pretty good.
I've heard it's pretty good too, but you know what? It's no Milli Vanilli.
So, Rachel, at least for me growing up, I didn't hear a lot of this music either. I think you and I were kind of in that age where it's like too young to be listening to what's popular, right? And the music isn't old enough that like our parents are listening to it. I mean, you weren't listening to anything, but like for me, it was that late 80s, early 90s. I had a gap for a while.
But we had older siblings that kind of helped us. Probably our older
yeah,
siblings.
but my brother got me into like, Sinatra and the Beatles. He wasn't like, here's Milli Vanilli. But by the time I had heard of them, they were a joke. So like I missed the window, but everybody grew up hearing of them because they were so famous. It was just like the music kind of passed me by too. So Vaughn, I appreciate you sharing this album with me. I had a great time listening to it with my 3-year-old and us dancing together and getting to know this album that meant so much to you. You're my friend, and so I had a really good time.
Yeah.
Well, I really had a really good time too. I am curious to know why Rachel is in a vacuum. Like, why has she not heard so much music?
Right.
Well, for a lot of it is I don't like music. When I go in my car, I turn the music off. My husband listens to the music, and I know when he's driving my car because I turn on my car and the music starts, and I'm like, no, you forgot to turn it off before you left. But also, even still, like when I was a kid, I had a boombox in my room, but I really didn't use it. I think it was there for decor.
So now that you've done this podcast and you've been exposed to all new types of music and artists, has that changed at all? Or are you still like anti-music?
I still am anti-music. I still don't listen to music in a vehicle. We're getting a new vehicle this month, and I am wondering, should I get this Sirius XM, FM,
No,
whatever that thing is called? Should I pay for a subscription to something that I'm not going to use?
no, you already have Spotify. You already have Spotify.
So can I get Spotify in my car?
Just plug your phone into your car.
Yeah, car.
Oh.
Bluetooth.
Okay.
Or Ethernet. Yeah. So
it's a willful choice is what she's saying, Vaughn, that she has purposefully turned it off her entire life and for some reason keeps doing this podcast with me, but it has changed nothing.
So she's like that friend that says, I don't have a TV and I don't watch it.
Yeah.
Except she has a TV, she just doesn't turn it on ever.
No,
and then when TVs are on, she turns around and says, no, I'm not going to expose myself to this. Or sometimes says, what's a TV?
What's a TV? But I have started listening to music around the pool.
That's
and
true.
When I go on my golf cart rides with my family. So
have you I'm sorry, this has turned into me interviewing you, but have you
No, it's okay.
Have you found that there are songs now that you associate with happy times with your family, since you do those certain things that are family orientated with music?
Yeah, so there's a song of, what's that lady? She has blonde hair.
Dolly Parton?
Yes, that lady. And Will Rogers, no?
Kenny Rogers?
Yes, that guy. And there's a stream, and...
Islands in the Stream.
Yes, my husband and I sang that song back and forth to each other, but yeah.
I would say
I love that.
I would say that every artist, you have some kind of connection point. We're trying to build like a network. I am trying to build a network of musical experiences to connect the dots and create those emotional and intellectual, neurons.
Yeah.
And that song, Isn't She Lovely? I like that one for Lucy.
Yeah.
I like that song for my daughter. I think that's a really cute one.
We did Stevie Wonder, season 1. Yeah.
Okay.
That was cute. I like that song.
We could do a whole nother Stevie Wonder episode because he has so much music. Like we could do a whole other album.
Stevie Wonder is awesome.
He is awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, Rachel, we have been on quite a journey here with Millie Vanilli.
But I feel just as confused as I started the episode this week.
Oh, no.
I was like, what am I listening to? What am I listening to? And now being just, oh my goodness, it wasn't even them. Now what am I listening to?
Okay, so
You have not solved many of my problems.
before you give it the rating, what I really want you to consider is the music itself. Because that's really what we're talking about. The story around Milli Vanilli is very interesting and it's twisty and turny. And I know that you often, you like to connect with who the artist is as a person. In this case, whether you want to connect with Robin Fab's struggles, if you want to connect with the recording artists themselves, or if you just want to connect with the music, kind of take all that into account. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being all, 1 being nothing, where would you...
Did you do a thing?
Oh, I always do a thing.
Oh, he has a thing.
I have a thing. So, I want to know your rating of Milli Vanilli.
5.
I love how you were just like, I don't know, so I'm going to pick the number.
Middle.
So you're saying like
middle.
you feel totally neutral about them. You don't have a positive or negative.
Well, maybe 5.2.
So a slightly positive neutral.
And I think only because of Vaughn, because he's cool. And I really hope we can get that cassette tape back.
Yes. I would have nothing to play it on, but yes, let's get it back.
I think that's our first 5. Well, you know what? I would call that a win. Did you learn a lot?
Yes.
Did you have
learned
fun?
A lot that lip syncing and stealing other people's music and...
You learned some pop culture stuff too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a big earmark in history. Musical history, at least.
For sure. And you heard some fun songs. Well, Vaughn, can I just say thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your love for this artist with me and Rachel.
Of course. Well, Milli Vanilli is a group that is near and dear to my heart. My heart goes out to those guys. I felt for them when they fell. I loved them when they rose. So I'm happy that I was able to share that with you, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Vaughn. I really appreciate it.
If you, our audience, want to follow along with Rachel's journey, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe on iTunes, and of course, check out the Milli Vanilli playlist and all the playlists by following us on Spotify by searching for Spotify user music she missed. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks so much and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
What?